We're gonna start with Joker. I wanted to kind of cover this Joker Folia du. Paul, have you seen the first one?
The first Joker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume you did because you basically wanted to live it in the early part of this podcast. I assume because that is such an. I'm not saying you're an incel by any means. That's not what I mean when I say this. But like that's such an incel movie. I could see you being generated by it, like wanting to kill people. Like it got the incels all revved up. So you're like, yeah, I'm gonna drive my taxi with my army jacket and my mohawk, take care of business. If you don't understand that reference, I swear to God.
Like I haven't seen Taxi Driver. Get the fuck out of here.
Damn right. I know you've seen Taxi Driver. We talked about it in the first part of the episode, even though we didn't mention that movie.
I was scared to fucking implicate myself anymore.
No. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to another psychopath. So Joker Folia Du follows the Joker movie from a couple of years ago. Listen, the first Joker movie, just give a quick review. I wasn't a huge fan. I knew what they were building towards. I understood it. I got the themes. I was just kind of like, whatever. And it wasn't the purest comic book fan in me or anything. I don't. They made Jack Nicholson a Joker that basically was Joe Chill. Whatever. I can get past it. So. So this wasn't a big problem. I just thought it was not a movie that I really enjoyed. I'm just like I understood the point.
Right.
But I thought, and I think what happened was the response to the movie. I was like, this is becoming, and it was not. That movie spoke to many different groups, not just the incel groups. Because I talked to other groups where they're just like, I identify with that. I'm like, what? Listen, Paul, I know what you're thinking. We all know from the beginning of the podcast what you're thinking. We know where you're going. But it was the idea. It was the idea of who he was becoming. Which is, no, I'm above all this. Like, you serve me. You cater to me. Especially like how he was treating women and how he treated others and stuff. Like, he couldn't be overpowering on these other guys, so he was overpowering on kids. He was, overpowering on women and such. So it's just very. It was a good movie, and I know I'm not using the right words, but whatever. I'm a little stoned. But but this movie, you get into it, and I was like, I didn't love the first movie. So this movie, I'm like, I'll check it out. Whatever. I have a theory about this movie, Paul.
Okay, let's hear it.
And before I talk about this theory, I want to hear what you think about this.
So I gave it a good rating for the most part. They lost a lot of points because I don't know why it was pushed so hard to see it in IMAX. But it was pushed hardcore around here at the Regal Theater. Like, you have to see it in IMAX.
That had to be a choice from the theater.
It had to be because I couldn't see one scene where I'm like, this probably would have looked better on a better screen. Fucking absolutely not. So you lost some points there. I don't like false advertising. Even though I love musicals and I absolutely love Frank Sinatra, you need to let people know this is about to be an 80% fucking musical because they weren't prepared. Like Matt was not prepared. He hated this mainly because he was like, I don't mind a musical, but I would have liked to know it was going to be a damn musical for almost an hour and a half. And it wasn't even good music for him. And I mean, I do agree with that. I don't know why. I assume it had to be because they got Gaga and they were like, all right, let's make it singing. I didn't like her as Harley. I didn't care for her. I still thought the performance Joaquin Phoenix put on, though, was great. I love the filtering they did, the shot angles and everything. So that's why it still got a solid rating from me. But I think unless you're into cinema, not just movies, but into cinema, you're probably not going to like this like a majority of people. But I think if you're into more things than just essentially, what's right before you, you will at least appreciate this.
No.
But yes.
When I watched the first one, I always thought, like, this is for a certain type of man. This is poking fun at a certain type of man. But also saying that, listen, and almost kind of like being a cautionary tale, saying, like, listen, certain type of man.
Right.
It could be mental health. It could be trauma. It could be this. You don't have, you can get help for it. But also showing how for so long a corrupt system couldn't get somebody help. Like don't be like, to me, it was a cautionary tale in a lot of ways of like, don't end up like this guy,
right?
Because he's in a system that's not working for him. Like, if you can make it work for you, you're in a different world now. I took that from that. That was an interpretation I took from that. So when I got to this one, I hated it the first time I watched it. Not because I knew it was going to be a musical. I knew when she signed on what it was and everything like that. Again, I was like, I don't care if they turn it into the Joker. Yes, I heard about about the leak of what happened, and I wish I didn't, not because I thought it was surprising, but because I just didn't care. Like, it didn't affect me in that way. And then so I watched the first time, and that rating would have been a 2. And I'm going to put our ratings up here now. We both gave it a 3. Now, I gave it an extra point, and here's what I gave it an extra point for: my theory. And if it's ever dispelled, I promise you, I'll stop. But I think that this movie is completely made by Todd Phillips to troll everyone who misinterpreted the first movie. To everyone, like, this isn't a good movie. It's a bland movie. It's kind of boring. I got why they're singing and there's no music behind it and they sound terrible. Even Lady Gaga singing with no fucking mics or anything like still sounds good. Like, it wasn't great, but it still sounds good. You don't have to like her. I'm just saying, she's got a nice voice. So
I do like Gaga. I loved her in Star Is Born.
I liked her in this because she was exactly what she needed to be. That smack in the face. Like, everything that Arthur goes through in this movie is literally batting down his behavior from the last movie. And then even when they get to a point, and I don't mean to, I'm not going to spoil it, but even when they get to the point where, like, he builds it back up and the Joker is back and it's full confidence and all this, he gets knocked back down in a very horrifying way. That like again is another thing that's just showing him trying to make this man who thought by being this crazy persona, whatever it is, gave him unlimited power. It was completely stripped of it and completely made to feel and pathetic the whole time until they finally, at the end, there's a twist to it. I'm not going to share it, but he's not even what they say he is what I'll say. And you find that out in a really weird way. So that being said, I gave it an extra point because I really feel like Todd Phillips, in my theory, made this to say F you to the people who misinterpreted the first movie. And we're like, no, this is the way it needs to be, man. He's right. People pushing us around and taking our rights away and all this.
Right.
And like, so when they did that, he was like, all right, you want to be pathetic? I'm going to show you what pathetic is. And that's what this movie is. And here's the funny part about all of it. They didn't see it.
Yes, a lot of people didn't see it.
But overall though, I will probably watch this again, more to maybe dissect it a little bit. But it isn't a great movie, and there's not a really good story to it. And I would fast forward through the music. But overall, I like the subtext, the themes and stuff, and that's that. So let's get to the horror, because I know that's what you're at. So we're going to be doing something special tonight. Thank you for watching that review. Let's get on to the next review. But I want to thank our sponsors. Thank you to all our sponsors of this video: Entertainment Earth, Shopify, Sticker Mule, StubHub, Skillshare, and Noom. All my links are down below in the description. Please go check them out. We really appreciate you guys for sponsoring the show and hanging out with us. And guys, if you see any of the designs we're wearing, stuff like that, you can check them out over on snobsmerch.com. We have more. We have Star Trek stuff, movie stuff, all types of stuff.